Yes, sir. You already know what time it is. Time for Sports Talk with Naj, where we keep it real and authentic. Break down football, basketball, and soccer. So, hey, man, stay tuned. Follow us on the socials, and make sure you tell a friend. Yes, sir. We'll see you on the other side.
Talk with Naj, man. We got a lot to talk about today, guys. First and foremost, man, got an NFL section, football section. We'll be talking about top 10 quarterbacks in the league, and then I'll begin to my top college running backs and college football, and I'll conclude with some fire new helmets coming out by the Texas and the Cincinnati Bengals today that they'll be dropping later on this season. I think are fire, man, and you guys got to check them out on Instagram and Twitter, and give your comments on them, man, because they are dope. And then we'll get into some NBA. Deandre Ayton agreed to a 4-year, $133 million deal with the Indiana Pacers. But the Suns matched that, so I got to talk about what that all means, and it could be a possibly falling card for Kevin Durant going forward too. So definitely got to get into that, and then after that we'll be getting into some other NBA news as well. We get into some standouts in the NBA. Summer league, some of the players that got to keep an eye on going on into the next season. I think that can really make a difference and make an impact for their team. And also, we got a Donovan Mitchell trade that's looming. The Knicks are interested in Donovan Mitchell. I said one of the best landing spots I think for Donovan Mitchell is Miami. But I'm going to tell you why I think the Knicks need to make this trade. And then, of course, we're going to get to some soccer. Raphinha signed with Barcelona for $67 million. This was a heavily targeted player for Chelsea FC, but they weren't able to land him. They did land Raheem Sterling, but Raphinha signs with Barcelona for $67 million. And then Rooney is the new head coach for DC United. So I'll begin to that and what that all means. And then I'll begin breaking down some all-star players. Some I think that are well deserved, and some players that stood out this season as far as MLS All-Star break being very near and basically being here. So man, that's what I got in store for today. But man, without question, let's start off first and foremost with the top 10. This is by NFL, by executives, coaches, players. Man, for me, so top 10, go ahead and name the original list. I'll tell you why I changed mine around. Aaron Rodgers was 1, 2 Patrick Mahomes, 3 Josh Allen, 4 Tom Brady, 5 Joe Burrow, 6 Matthew Stafford, 7 Justin Herbert, 8 Russell Wilson, 9 Deshaun Watson, and then 10 was Dak Prescott. So, I mean, first and foremost, it's an okay list. It's a decent list, but it could be improved. It could be a lot better. So for me, number 1, I will put Tom Brady. Tom Brady's been there. He's done that. Respect to Aaron Rodgers, 2-time consecutive MVPs right now in the league. I think he's either a 4 or 5-time MVP overall. Don't quote me on that. But, we know he's going to be a great player. We know he is a great player. But I got to put the GOAT first, man. And the GOAT nearly came back and beat the eventual Super Bowl champions in the Los Angeles Rams, too, when he was down a lot of points. So I got to put him number 1 in my list. And then for me, 2, I'm going to go, of course, Aaron Rodgers, without question, 2-time consecutive MVP. This year, it's going to be a lot of questions for him, man. He got the long-term deal like he wanted, got the money like he wanted, but he won't have Devontae Adams. He was traded away to the Las Vegas Raiders. So I'm curious to see what Rodgers can do now with the new weapons he's going to have and some of the players they brought back. I think Randall Cobb's still there, Alan Lazard's still there. But, can he step up with the number 1 target that he had for years in Devontae Adams? And then for me, of course, 3 is Patrick Mahomes. We know what he can do. And this year, again, he's also another quarterback. It's going to be Eli's top number 1 receiving option. Travis Kelce is still there. They drafted Scott Moore. They brought in Marquez Valdez-Scantling. They got Juju Smith-Schuster. But, without that deep field threat that constantly puts the pressure on the defense, can he really make that difference? And can he still put up those, video game-like plays and numbers that he once put up last season? So, and in years prior to that, so I'm curious to see, man, how he performs as well. But I'm still going to keep him 3. 4 for me is Joe Burrow. I know I'll probably get some criticism for this one, having him so high. But for me, he's 4, man. I think he's better. I would really take him over the field over anybody. And what's good this year, he's going to get to pretty much play everybody. Last year, he played Rodgers. This year, he's going to get to play Mahomes. He's going to get to play Allen. He's going to play Tom Brady. And last year, he played Herbert. But, yeah, so for me, he's 4. Why? He beat Patrick Mahomes twice with everything on the line. The division crown on the line week 17 beat him at home in a must-have game down 14 points twice in that game and won the game. He beat them on the road, must-have a game down 21. I think it was 21-3, or it was down by a significant margin. Came back and won that game. In high-pressure leverage moments. When people thought Kansas City was going to win, they went in there and they took it. And 2 of their victories last year, it was on the road. Against hostile environments, hostile opponents, and they went in there and won. So for me, I think he just has that it factor. He's not going to wow you with the arm talent and stuff like that, but he's a very accurate passer, led the league in completion percentage at 70%. And I think he's just going to keep getting better with that. And I love this interview he had with Chris Sims, and he showed that, he lives for those high key pressure moments. And I think that says a lot, man. That's the same that kind of resonates with me and Brady. That's why I compare them to so much. I just think that they have that same aura and the same mentality about themselves. And I really think Burrow is just different, man. I think he's going to eventually give Cincinnati a Super Bowl title, man. If he can stay healthy and prove his name on offensive line can stay pat and stay for him, I mean, man, look out. So for me, Burrow's 4. 5 is Josh Allen. Again, a great thrower of the football, dynamic arm talent, great off-platform throws, great, very mobile quarterback, can run. I like what he can do, man. I mean, he's special. He got the number 1 target in Stephon Diggs. That's going to be a special team, man. They're going to be a team that's going to be in contention for years to come. So I know that's going to be one of kind of the roadblocks in our way, as well as KC as well. But yeah, for me, I'll put Burrow over Allen just because he's been there. I know it's just one Super Bowl appearance, but that speaks a lot at that young age to do that. And Allen hasn't quite gotten over the Mahomes hump yet, while Burrow basically just did that. So that's why I got him over Allen. We'll see this year. They get to play this year late in the year. I think it's week 17 as well, at home against Buffalo. Cincinnati does, so it should be good. 6 for me, Justin Herbert. I think same thing. Freakish arm, superior arm talent, can put the ball anywhere he wants to place it. He's one of the ones I think plays well at high leverage moments as well. Without his coach kind of blowing that game, they definitely would have been a team that would have won. And I think they would have beaten the Las Vegas Raiders there, or even tied and would have went to the playoffs. So he's a guy, year 3, keep your eye on. Last year he had a great year, and I think this is a team, as I've been saying, a dark horse candidate to win the AFC West next year. I think they're going to have everything clicking. They re-signed Mike Williams, and obviously they added Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, and pair along with Joey Bosa and Derwin James. So this is the team, man, you got to keep your eye on. I think a team that's going to be dangerous, going to be able to take over that division, man. And then for me, 7 is Russell Wilson. I put him 7 because I think, new environment, new team, a young budding team that just, missing a few pieces, but they got the quarterback right. They got Justin Simmons. They added Randy Gregory in the offseason. They got Jerry Jeudy there, Cortland Sutton. They got some nice pieces, man. They had to trade away, unfortunately, Noah Fant, but I think they got some good pieces to contend and really make some noise, man, in that division as well. So keep your eye on them as well. But for 7, for me, it's going to be Russell Wilson. 8 up with Matthew Stafford. Got to give him his respect and his credit. Won the Super Bowl. Played decently well in that. And for years we was like, it was kind of a question mark. We knew how great he was a thrower with football, but could he win in those big games? He would think he was 0 for 4, possibly in the playoffs before this year, winning those games and going all the way. So shout out to Stafford, man. They had a great roster and a great team around them, but, if he played bad, they wouldn't have won a Super Bowl. So shout out to Stafford. Definitely got to put him in the top 10 currently right now. Now, where my list kind of changes is I take out Deshaun Watson, I take out Dak Prescott, and I replace them with Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray. I think Lamar Jackson should get definitely more love than what he does. Lamar Jackson is a great player. He is really their team. The problem with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, and it's not really on Lamar because I think he's a great thrower of the football, but they have yet to give him a number 1 receiver. Now, they had Marquise Brown, who was a good receiver. But when I say number 1, I mean like you're going to throw that name into the top 10 receivers in the game. Like he's yet to have that, in my opinion, and throughout his whole career. He has a great, I think, top 3 tight end in the game right now, and Mark Andrews. You put Mark Andrews, Travis Kelce, and then George Kittle all in one category. Yes, but they've yet to get him like that number 1 clear-cut receiver dynamic I've yet to see it. All of the quarterbacks in the league has pretty much had that, and I've yet to see Lamar have that. I don't think that's talked about enough. And then too, you got him trying to get his money, so I think that's big as well. But for me, I gotta put him top 10. I think he's the epitome of the Ravens. I think without him, they don't go as far as they do. I think last year with all of the just decimated with injuries, I don't think him not being present before he ended up cave into injury. They're not competitive and they're not in the making for even landing a potential playoff spot until it broke down and everything. But I gotta put him number 9, man. I put 10 Kyler Murray. I put Kyler Murray over Deshaun Watson because I haven't seen Deshaun Watson play in over a year and a half now. So I got to see him play. And then we still have a suspension probably looming or impending. So I can't put Deshaun Watson top 10 yet until I see him play. That's my biggest thing. I have to see you play. I've seen these guys play. And I know people are going to be like, well, Kyler Murray had shortcomings in the playoffs. Yeah, man, it's his first postseason. Like, everybody's had shortcomings in the playoffs. It's going to happen, and there was some drama in the offseason. But I think this is a guy you want to build your franchise around. And they got Marquise Brown in the trade, and then they got him along with D-Hop. So he got weapons. And Zach Ertz is there well. Forgot about him. They got weapons to be dangerous. I'm going to put my money on Kyler Murray before I do Dak Prescott. And no offense to him. It's not that Dak can't play. Dak is a good quarterback. But for me, I feel like, and it's something that resonates with the Cowboys, when it's them high pressure moments, high pressure leverage moments, when you need your quarterback to step up or you need that big game, I've yet to see it with Dak. And I just feel like we don't see it consistently enough. And he has so many ways to prove me wrong. I mean, this year they changed up a lot of their roster. They didn't sign some players. They traded away Amari Cooper. They're going to be depending on CeeDee Lamb and Dalton Schultz now, who they franchise tagged, Dalton Schultz. So we're going to really see what this team is made of. And I think you got to keep your eye on Dak. And we'll see what happens with the running game. Zeke had a down year last year, but if he can get back to his vote, we'll see. But it's no shade on Dak. I think he's a good quarterback, but I got to see him do more come crunch time and postseason time for me to put him on top 10. So that's the only thing I would change in the list. I would just have Burrow a little bit higher than that, and I would have Tom Brady 1 because I just think unquestionably he's the GOAT. And I would take him pretty much over everybody. I would put. Yeah, I really would take Burrow even over Mahomes, But that's just me personally. Again, I'm a little biased because obviously I'm a Bengals fan, but can't go wrong with Brady, Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, top 3, and then I think Burrow 4. To me, he's been there, done that. Now we'll see this year. Other quarterbacks got a chance to go up, but for me, that's how I would rate my top 10. Now keeping it going, got some top running backs coming up in college football this year. Deuce Vaughn, I think from Kansas State, is going to have a good year. According to Pro Football Focus, he earned a top 3 grade of a 91.1. He's only 5'6", but he's very elusive. He had 59 total plays that resulted in a gain of 10 or more yards, the most among Power 5 running backs. He had 93.4 rushing yard grade as well. And then, man, last year he lit it up. He had 235 touches, 1,404 yards, and 18 touchdowns. And, what's good about his game is also a receiving threat. He had nearly 500 yards just receiving out of the backfield. So as we know, the game has changed. To be a running back, you got to be able to not only run the football, but catch it as well at the backfield to be able to run nice, crisp routes and get open. So I think this is the guy you got to keep your eye on going into another year with him at Kansas State as he try to continue to get his draft stock to rise. And I think this is a guy that can be dangerous next year in the Big 12. So I'm keeping my eye on him. And then 2 would be same conference, Bijan Robinson for the Texas Longhorns. He's a very elusive back. Again, this is all my information I'm getting from Pro Football Focus. He had 0.4 missed tackles per attempt. He led all FBS running backs. He broke 8 tackles on 26 receptions while averaging 10.7 yards after the catch per reception. So, he also had 195 touches last year, 1,127 yards, and 11 touchdowns. So, and his highest total came in the game against TCU. We had 216 yards. So, again, man, this is a great guard. A guard I think that not a guard, excuse me. A running back, great running back I think can really make a difference. And I'm curious to see how this offense is going to look next year with Quinn Edwards there as the QB. Texas is doing a new regime, man. They got a new regime going. Steve Sarkisian, the coach. They could see how it turns out and if he could follow some of his success from last year. And then 3 for me is going to be Travion Henderson. I really think, man, he's going to be an X factor for the Ohio State Buckeyes next year. He converted 18.6 of his carries into a gain of 10 or more yards, 8th highest rate among Power 5 running backs. He had 5 20-plus yard touchdown runs. And last year he had 183 touches for 1,248 yards and 15 touchdowns. So really, man, there's a lot of potential here for him because, again, I think this is a team that's going to be in the college football playoff, the Ohio State Buckeyes. Just seeing their game against Utah, some of their other games last season, they struggled in some of the games they lost to Oregon, which really kind of decided their fate almost in a way of not getting that college football playoff spot. But I really think this is a team that's their eyes is going to be on the offense. Their passing attack is going to be potent next year. C.J. Stroud is like one of the top quarterbacks. Is probably going to go next year in the next year's draft. Jackson Smith-Jigma should probably go top 5. So a lot of defense is going to predicate their schemes on stopping those two, stopping that aerial attack. So if you are Ohio State and you're the coordinator, you're Ryan Day, you got to think, okay, cool. So we're going to have to run the football too. So this is where Travion Henderson comes in. If he's able to have and follow up the same season he had last year and keep the defense honest with them running the football, because more than likely they're going to be see defensive fronts, not like a 9 in the box. Usually you'll see the stopper running back. You're going to probably see like 7, 6 maybe in the blocks, so just kind of stop the passing attack, more DBs on the field. So if they can go and keep the defense honest and continue to lean heavily, or lean in some ways on Travion Henderson, I think that makes them a more balanced attack. I think that makes them more dangerous because then the team is not other teams that play them are just looking for just the pass. They're like, oh, well, hey, we got to consider the run as well and what that could possibly do. So for me, if I'm Ohio State, I'm going with this in mind, knowing I got a dynamic quarterback, knowing I got great receivers, and I'm thinking, okay, let's be balanced, but let's also do what we love to do as well and do what we want to do. So I think he's an X factor next year for them. If he can continue to have the follow up the season he had last year, I mean, hey man, look out, And then number 4 for me would be Zach Evans out of Ole Miss. Had a great season last year. Averaged 7.3 yards per carry, 4.8 yards after contact, 29 explosive runs of 10 or more yards, and 40 broken tackles from 146 yards carries. So yeah, this is another guy I think for Ole Miss that I'm keeping my eye on. Matt Corral left in the draft this past season. So curious to see how this regime can end up and how Lane Kiffin can get this team going and if they can get them back in contention. Because last year, they were, they didn't make the college football playoff. They made the SEC championship, but they were a competitive team. I can say that. So curious to see what next steps they can take in order to get the program back, in prominence and back on track. So I think this running back here, Evans, is a key cog in doing so. And then to wrap up our NFL section, our football section, the Texans debuted a new red helmet. They're going to debut November 3rd against the Philadelphia Eagles. I really think that helmets are really nice, man. I think more teams need to do this. I like that the NFL changed this rule to allow for more alternate helmets. My favorite team also announced a super fire white Bengal, I think it's going to be a helmet that's supposed to be coming out. I don't know when, but I'm excited for this as well. It's really fire. It goes fire with our white uniforms. And, I mean, I'm not going to lie, man. I love it. So hopefully we'll see more teams kind of adapt this. I would love to see a throwback helmet for the Eagles. Their throwback jerseys are really dope. So, for me, man, I think hope more teams are able to do this and implement more helmets and stuff like that. So definitely going to be keeping my eye on this and, seeing if more teams can do it because I think they're fire and they ask for a nice helmet, add some flair to the jerseys, add different elements. And, and fans love it, of course. So I think it's fire, man. So, yeah, we'll see kind of, what happens. But, yeah, man, our next section, keeping it going, is going to be some NBA talk, standouts from the Summer League. For me, I love Paolo Banchero. I think he has a great guard-like set right now. He's very exciting to watch. He's great as both a ball handler and the screener in the pick and roll. Makes him a great, unique, schematic weapon from the jump. And I love that he's unselfish, man. He makes the right play, the right pass, communicates, competes at all times. And I think he's a great player, man. So, for me, Banchero, I think, is a guy you got to keep your eye on. And, he had a great, run in the summer league. He had over 40 points over those 2 games he played, and he showed that he can really score, man. And we're going to see how the Magic should choose to deploy him. A team that has been in relative purgatory for a long time. And I think this guy got to keep an eye on. The other guy is Jabari Smith, who's drafted 3rd overall. I really like this kid. I've compared him, to KD when he was coming out of Texas, and I just think that this is the guy you want to have on your team. They built a nice young core there in Houston. Compare him with Jalen Green and Kevin Porter Jr. I like Smith. I like his skill set. Can really shoot the ball well, and I love it. Really underrated with him is his defense. He's very impactful defensively, and he played terrifically defensively against the top 2 picks in the summer league in Banchero and Holmgren, Chet Holmgren, and he showed he could also switch onto guards and chase down blocks in pursuit, and also bang and battle against physically older and stronger players. So that's really what you want, man. He showed that he could shoot the ball well, get his own shot, and that he could play defense, and that's really what you need, and that's going to translate to more minutes on the court. You can keep that consistent and keep up, the great shooting, remain smart, and being able to switch and play defense. It's really attractive, man. I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I think you could see him turn and mold into a multiple-time All-Star, man, and turn into a star. So, he's very humble, which I respect, and he gave credit the other day to some of the GOATs to play the game, and LeBron and Steph Curry. But he also said, I take the challenge, and I want to play against him. So that's why, like I said, I can respect him because, he's humble, and he really values, coming to work every day, working hard, less talking, putting his head down, and really being out there grinding. So I respect that. So he's the one that stood out to me too. And the third would be Keegan Murray out of plays for Sacramento Kings. Total 40 points in the first 2 games at Vegas, during 4 threes in each game, and played great, active, smart basketball. He also had a game-tying 3 in the scramble situation in the regulation. An exhausting game against the Magic last Saturday. And I love his ability, man. What goes underrated, he'll probably be playing with De'Aaron Fox, is that his ability to cut, relocate, and rebound and play with energy off the ball. You're really going to need that. And he's not a guy that have to force feed touches, too, that always needs the balls in his hands. He can get open, off the dribble, make shots, and he can play very well. So I think this is a guy that can be deployable in a bunch of different lineups. It's the Kings, another franchise that looks to rebuild and get out of relative purgatory and get back to being competitive and making some playoff runs and stuff like that. So curious to see how he plays, but he played good in the summer league, in my opinion. I think he's a guy got to keep your eye on. Now, more NBA news. Phoenix Suns matched Deandre Ayton's offer of 4 years, $133 million. I was very surprised here. He is a restricted free agent. He actually agreed to terms earlier today with the Indiana Pacers. So, I would say it's not off the table to see him get traded potentially in a package for KD, just because they did sign that offer and did offer him that offer means he's going to stay now with Phoenix. But, looking long-term, man, I wouldn't be shocked if he's using the trade with KD. Because obviously KD wants to come to Phoenix. So don't be shocked there just because this happened doesn't mean there isn't a trade looming. I'm not going to say, yeah, that's cool. He's going to stay with Phoenix long term. I have to see first because it could be an ulterior motive here of why they tried to keep him and re-sign him because there has been tension between him and the coach. So we have to see what they do. They did re-sign him, so that means he will be in the Phoenix Suns uniform unless, they have a trade for him and decide to send him elsewhere. And you never know. We'll see in the coming months and weeks and see what kind of happens here. But that's my thoughts on that. And our last topic to conclude, basketball is going to be Donovan Mitchell trade. That's looming. Initially, he was basically all hands off deck. They weren't going to trade him. He was in their future plans, but now Utah is kind of interested in listening to the offers. So, my other podcast and Sport Pod said that I think Mitchell should go to Miami because they're in need of another star. Mitchell last year averaged 26 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. And I really think to pair him with Jimmy Butler, who's a defensive-minded player, grind-out player that really values putting your head down and going hard every day, that he will work well with Jimmy, in my opinion. But I think the Knicks should make this trade. He's a hometown kid, played in New York, and New York is in desperate need of a star. Now, Jalen Brunson, of course, man, he's a good player, man. But if you're thinking about it, sometimes you need to land a star before you can land other stars. And I think alluring him here and getting him into a New York Knicks uniform goes a long way in rebuilding that team and getting them going. So if I'm New York, I'm going to trade Julius Randle, Cam Reddish, Quentin Grimes, and my other players. I'm going to trade them and try to get him in a couple draft picks because it doesn't necessarily put you into contention for a title, but it puts you in, I would say, the upper echelon of competition in the East. So like a 5 or 4 seed, I think, adding him. And then you'll probably need another piece to go along with Mitchell and make sure that bodes well. But I think overall, man, this would be a great move for the Knicks, pairing him with them. RJ Barrett is another player I think is an X factor here. They can keep Barrett. He can keep improving that jump shot, being a more consistent player. I mean, if he can mold into kind of an all-star caliber player, I think that would be a great fit as well. But we have to see what happens. His consistency hasn't been the best. So I think this is somebody you got to keep an eye on. But the Knicks, if you're the Knicks, make this trade. We'll have to see what happens in the backcourt. Maybe a little bit of defensive liability having Brunson in him there. But, I mean, if you're the Knicks, you got to think about making this trade and possibility of alluring other stars to come to New York in the coming years, man. So, that's my stance on it. I think it'd be a great move for New York. And if I'm them, I'll make the trade, But, yeah, guys, that's going to conclude our NBA talk. And we're going to conclude with some soccer. A lot of news happened. Raphinha signed with Barcelona for $67 million. As I mentioned earlier in the show, he was touted by Chelsea FC to sign with them, and they were very interested in his services. But, he never agreed to personal terms. They made a great offer for him, but he wanted to go to Barcelona, which is really interesting because they're low on money right now, and, they still owe money to Frenkie de Jong, but no news of that yet. What's going on with that? So kind of curious how they were able to have money for Raphinha when they couldn't really even pay Frenkie de Jong. But I digress. So we'll see how he fits with them, but he's a Brazilian striker. Probably another great ad for them as they're one of the powerhouses in European football. So we'll see how this turns out for them next year, and if he's able to make a conscious effort and really help out the team. But good signing for Barcelona, and we'll see what happens in the next coming months. Now, another move in soccer, we had Wayne Rooney signed as a new DC United head coach. He made it official Tuesday afternoon. He's the club's next head coach. Now he's a Manchester United legend. He leads them all time, also leading scorer in Manchester United history. And he also played with DC United from 2018 to 2019 as a forward. So only a couple years removed, man. And recently he coached at Derby. So now they did part ways. DC United did part ways with Hernan Lozada on April 20th. So the interim coach is Chad Ashton, and he'll remain the interim coach until Rooney receives his P1 visa. So, he spent the year and a half leading Derby County in the English Championship. He helped the Rams stave off relegation to League One in 2020-2021. And as a player coach, but, overall right now, this team is struggling for DC United. They are currently 13th in the Eastern Conference, which puts them out of the MLS playoffs. They've only accumulated 17 points, 5 wins, 10 losses, and 2 draws. So we're at the midway point of the 2022 season. So hopefully Manny can come in and really make a difference. This would be kind of his second run at coach. And he used to play here. So hopefully, man, he can turn around DC United. And this move can prove beneficial, for them. And, we'll see kind of what happens there. And our last topic, as far as to wrap up today's segment in today's show, is going to be on MLS All-Star break, pretty much being here. Some top players that got there that I think was well-deserved. Of course, all players are deserving of it, but players that stood out to me was Paul Arriola of SC Dallas. He's made an impact on the Dallas front line. 18 matches this season, he has set career high in goals. He scored 8, including a stretch of 5 consecutive matches with at least 1 goal scored from May 7th through May 28th. So great run for Paul Arriola. Also, Valentin Castellanos is another player that stood out to me. He's the reigning MLS Golden Boot. an Aldi winner, MLS Cup champion. He's the first MLS All-Star roster after picking up right where he left off in 2021 season. So far this year, he leads with 12 goals in 15 matches, so almost a goal per match. So he's having a great run as well. And then another player that stood out for us forwards and strikers would be Carlos Vela for LAFC. Vela has been selected to his fourth MLS All-Star game with other appearances in 2018, 2019, and 2021. He's totaled 6 goals and 8 assists in 17 appearances for LAFC and recently reached 100 career goal contributions. Now, as far as midfielders, for me, that just really stood out, it's going to be Luciano Acosta. In his 6th MLS season, he's earned first MLS All-Star selection and first in the FC Cincinnati history. So shout out to him for doing that. He's a dynamic midfielder, leads with 16 goal contributions, and he's tied for the league lead with 10 assists this year. And then another player to wrap up that stood out to me is Emmanuel Reynoso, Minnesota United. He's building off his success from the 2021 season. So far this year, he leads Minnesota United with both goals, 7, and assists in 5, en route to the second MLS All-Star selection. So the Argentinian has been having a great year this year. And like I said, as I mentioned, 7 goals and 5 assists, man. So, yep. And then, sorry, guys, last player is going to be a defender, Julian Araujo for LA Galaxy. He's been selected consecutive All-Star games after being named a coach selection in 2021. And he's only 21 years old, and he started 16 games for LA Galaxy, and he leads in both key passes and interceptions. Key passes in 21, interceptions in 27. So those are some of the players, man, that definitely stood out to me that I think definitely going to make a difference. It's having a great MLS, and they're going to play actually the domestic league in Mexico, La Liga. So that should be a great tournament overall, and I can't wait to see what happens for this MLS All-Star break. So that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and that's going to wrap us, man. See you guys in the next episode. Peace.